Hello everyone, Sidewind here, and today I am going to be talking about the Metal Kineticist in Pathfinder Second Edition. So to start, a lot of people from Western countries such as Europe or the United States might be asking, why is metal an element? So to start, it's because of Eastern alchemy. Pathfinder decided to base their kineticist off both Eastern and Western alchemy. So Western alchemy has 4 elements, which I'm sure many people are familiar with: fire, earth, water, and air. These are common in Western source material. So Eastern alchemy, on the other hand, has 5 elements: wood, water, air, fire, and metal. So they have different numbers, but Pathfinder took both of them and put them together to create their elemental caster, the Kineticist. So the Kineticist was released in 2023, and it is the first Pathfinder class to be under the Remaster project, which was provoked by the OGL mess. So it's based around the concept of elemental mages, such as benders in Avatar: The Last Airbender or alchemists in the Warhammer universe. So all of the Kineticist abilities are infinite use, unlike many other features of spellcasters in Pathfinder. Most spellcasters use spell slots. Kineticists, on the other hand, use impulses, which are essentially infinite use. Some of them have cooldowns on certain people, same as battle medicine. So metal kineticists actually have a special role. They have both defense and offense with no healing ability. I'm going to start by going into the basic features of the Kineticist. So, to start, to use any ability as a kineticist, you must have your elemental kinetic aura active. This is activated using the Channel Elements action, which is one action. It also allows you to use a one-action elemental blast or a one-action stance impulse. Stances remain active until you disable it, and you cannot switch stance for a full round after you've activated it. In addition, it is stopped whenever you are knocked unconscious. The third piece of vocabulary is that of an impulse. Impulses, as I've said before, require an active kinetic aura. They also frequently require a free hand. There are some exceptions. The fourth trait is overflow, which is present at level 1 for the metal kineticist, unlike others. When it's attached to an impulse, after you use the impulse, your kinetic aura is disabled until you reactivated it. So the fifth trait is infusion, which modifies the next action you take. This can be things like increasing range or changing the damage type. So now for an introduction to Kinetic Blast. It's marked as Elemental Blast here, but the two are synonyms, essentially. So the Metal Kineticist Elemental Blast deals piercing or slashing damage at a range of 30 feet. So to start with Kinetic Blast, you select whether you're going to use a 1-action or a 2-action. For 1 action, you roll your attack and add Constitution. If you miss, regardless of whether you're using 1 or 2 action, you deal no damage. If you hit in melee using a 1-action Elemental Blast, you add your Strength modifier to damage. And then if you hit at range, you add nothing. So after that, you double damage on a crit, if it happens. That is 10 above the DC. So 2-action. You add your Constitution mod to the attack. On a miss, no damage again. And then on a hit in melee, you add both your Strength and your Constitution modifier. At range, you add solely your Constitution modifier. Next up is base Kinesis. This is a base ability of Kineticist, and it allows you to modify your element. So it takes 2 actions. You can only affect objects of light or negligible bulk, so nothing heavy, and it has a range of 30 feet. Your options with the base ability are Move, which allows you to move an ordinary piece of your element up to 20 feet. Suppress, you destroy a piece of your element, in this case metal, and then Free, you bring a piece of the element to you. An important distinction for the metal kineticist and not for others is you cannot create anything of value. Not create precious metals. So no gold, no silver, no platinum, or anything like that. So, after base Kinesis, I'm going to go into the feats that are available to all kineticists in the way that they are given to metal kineticist. So, extended Kinesis. It gives free new abilities to the metal kineticist. 1, you can now proliferate, meaning you can create more of your element. 2, you can now sculpt your element. It creates fragile items. Let's note that. And then Free, you can regulate it, meaning you can change its temperature. The second option for a feat that's available to all kineticists is the Elemental Familiar, which uses a Constitution modifier for many abilities. Your third option is Versatile Blast, which allows you to deal electricity damage as a metal kineticist, rather than just piercing and slashing, which are martial damage types, whereas electricity is an elemental damage type. So your fourth choice is Weapon Infusion, which lets you take your elemental blast into the form of a weapon. I personally don't really see the point to it for metal kineticist because you have melee blast dealing slashing or piercing as it is, but you might choose this for flavor reasons. So, then a basic introduction to impulses. They're always at your level. They always use the Kineticist class CC, and attack rolls use Constitution modifier. This is very similar to most other class abilities in Pathfinder. And then Impulse Junction. This is something all kineticists have. It's activated for your round whenever you use a impulse requiring 2 or more actions. So the trigger for the metal kineticist is you use that and then you're hit. So whenever you get hit, you get to choose acid, electricity, or piercing damage. Each time a creature damages you with an unarmed strike or non-reach melee weapon, you deal damage equal to half your level. This could be an option for melee, especially when paired with one of the later feats I'm going to show, which is Metal Carapace. So, these are Metal Kineticist level 1 impulses. First off, Flash Forge. It takes 2 actions, and you create a common weapon or piece of adventuring gear with 1 bulk or less. The item is entirely made of metal. And whenever it is used, the user must make a DC 5 flat check or destroy the item after finishing. So the second choice is Magnetic Pitons. It takes free actions and is overflow, meaning that it deactivates your elemental aura after use. So when you use Magnetic Pitons, you make free ranged impulse attacks against up to 3 enemies. The attacks count towards multi-attack penalty, but only after finishing. You have +1 circumstance bonus versus all targets who are made of metal or wearing metal. So that is things like constructs, or you might have it versus a heavily armored enemy. It deals 1d4 piercing damage and 1d4 bludgeoning damage when it hits. The third choice is Metal Carapace, which I personally think opens up a lot of options for the Kineticist. It takes 1 action, and it creates an armor. with AC bonus plus free, dex cap plus 2, a check penalty of -2, bulk 2, and a speed penalty of 5. It is part of the plate armor group and has the noisy trait. You can also create a shield. And the hand holding the shield is still a free hand, unlike most shields. So I think that this, paired with the kinetic junction, allows you to be in melee a lot more than other kineticists. It also increases the damage of your elemental blasts, as you can add strength. So the fourth choice is Shard Strike. You have 2 actions to use it, and then you select shards or spines. This gives you the choice between piercing damage, followed by persistent bleeding damage, or piercing damage followed by clumsy 1. Both those effects only happen in the case of a critical failure. They also change the shape. So shards deal damage in a 15-foot cone, whereas spines deal damage in a 30-foot line. This means you can alter it to better fit what you need at the time. The final thing I am going to mention is the role of the metal kineticist, because it's not as clear as many others. So, the metal kineticist is one of the better options for a melee kineticist due to your armor and your ability, because your ability only takes effect when you are hit in melee. The second option, as is available for all kineticists, is a ranged damage dealer. And then the third, which usually is paired with another one, is the utility niche. So you can use skills such as nature, medicine, etc., like all characters in Pathfinder, or you can use your special stuff, such as Flash Forge or base Kinesis, to create items. Note the no items of value still applies. That is all for today. If you have a request for a future video, please request in the comments down below. And I will be going into the next part of the Kineticist series next week. Thank you for watching.